Coming up today, Health Ministry to soon address MOAC strike. Earth tremor hits Accra again. Mahama defense of Osu-Ampofo. Vice President Chief Imam pray for Ghana. Okudzeto alerts government. Over 20,000 nurses and midwives set to be employed. Ayawaso commissioners inspect crime scenes. Koreans in Ghana mark independence. And Tyler Perry retires Medea. Hello there, it's a brand new week coming to you from our studios here at Stephen Amate Close in Nima. This is The Updates. My name is Godwin Nambo. And now let's get straight into our first story. Reports on threats from the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana, MOAC, to hold a nationwide strike has eventually pushed the Ministry of Health to resolve the concerns of the workers. The mortuary workers, after several times of lamenting over their salaries and reviewing of working hours to the ministry, had no other option than to use their last resort, that is, hold a strike on Tuesday, March 5th, 2019. Reports gathered that Eloma Metepe, PRO of the ministry, indicate that after holding talks with the workers, the ministry is sure to settle and provide comfort to the staff. However, the mortuary workers have agreed to return to their duties only after a considerable and favorable deal from the Ministry of Health and Labour Union are agreed on, since they had been complaining for over 3 months over poor working conditions. Speaking on behalf of the workers, General Secretary of the MOAC, Richard Kofi Jordan, averred that the workers' decision follows the neglect and unresponsiveness by the Ministry of Health to their concerns. Now, an earthquake measuring 3.9 on the Richter scale was recorded around 11:30 p.m. on Saturday in some parts of Accra. The areas estimated to have been affected fall within and along Weija and McCarthy Hill. Nicholas Opoku, senior seismologist at the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, told journalists on Sunday that the quake, which was categorized as a small one, was the third to have taken place this year, 2019. 2 others, described as minor earth tremors, occurred separately on January 13th and February 25th, 2019, around the same region, which measured 2.6 and 2.5 on the Richter scale, respectively. He says the frequent earth tremors being experienced in parts of Accra is sufficient warning for residents in earthquake-prone areas to be alert and prepare for a major one. Mr. Opoku indicated that the earth movement experienced on Saturday night was not an earth tremor but a moderate earthquake. He said the incident occurred in Bawe, Weija and Botiano in the Ghana West and Ghana South municipalities on Saturday, March 2nd at exactly 11:29 p.m, measured 3.9 on the Richter scale. He said such frequent earth tremors and moderate earthquakes show that the fault lines were active. Mr. Opoku explained that whenever small and minor earthquakes happen frequently within a given area, it meant a major one was certainly to be expected, adding, there is however no means of telling when this would be. He also said the only way to minimize the effect of such a major earthquake was to prepare for it by taking appropriate measures possible. On how best to prepare for such a major tremor, he said buildings within and along earthquake-prone zones, which were called fault lines, typically did not stand a chance of surviving a major earthquake, so the only safety measure was to have no building within such zones at all. He urged the relevant authorities to be vigilant, ensuring that buildings put up in the earthquake-prone zones are relocated, and urged the public to ensure that they rather put up their structures in relatively risk-free zones. Mr. Opoku said in the event of an earthquake, those living in mountainous areas would be greatly affected because of possible collapse of buildings. Accra suffered its most recent major earthquake in 1939, which killed over 10 people and left several dozens injured. The 1939 quake also caused severe damage to several buildings and structures. And now, former President John Mahama has rubbished claims of causing harm to the chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, by the NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, in a leaked audio tape, had allegedly endorsed an attack on Reverend Professor Asante. But commenting on the issue at a Thanksgiving service at Perez Chapel in Accra yesterday, the NDC flag bearer for the 2020 election stated that his party chairman only meant the Peace Council chairman should be criticized and not that physical attacks should be meted out to him. He said the call for criticism was based on the Peace Council chairman's demand for apology from Mahama to the nation over his infamous boot-for-boot comment following the January 31, 2019 Ayawaso West by-election shooting incident. According to him, the NDC was expecting Reverend Professor Nsanti to have first condemned the violence itself before calling on him to apologize for inciting violence. However, he pointed out that the Peace Council chairman failed to condemn the violence that some members of the NDC allegedly suffered, but rather asked him to apologize.
That is why we have accepted the President's invitation to discuss the issue of vigilantism. And we actually have written explaining some of the issues we think we need to look at, including what Bishop said, that it would be simplistic to just have the two parties come and sit together and say we're discussing and disbanding vigilantism. The issue of vigilantism is a multi-stakeholder thing. And Freddie Blade just calling Ofosuampofo and say, oh, let's meet tomorrow. We can have some tea and discuss disbanding our vigilante groups. No. And that's why we're saying there must be an interlocutor, a neutral interlocutor. And the neutral interlocutor that we have in this country, in terms of our peace architecture, is the National Peace Council. We must have had disagreements with the chairman. And it was in the heat of post-Ayawaso West Wogon. The chairman had been interviewed. And in a way, when I listened to the audio, the presenter misled him in many ways. If you listen to that audio again. And so on our side, we said, but as chairman of the Peace Council, the first thing you must do is to condemn the violence first. Then after that, now you look at what who said or what who didn't say. But without condemning the violence, the presenter asked, he says, so what of President Mahama, what he said, boot for boot, will you condemn it? The Peace Council chairman said, I haven't heard what he said. And the presenter said, oh, I can tell you on assurance, he said it. And that there are witnesses, we can even bring the audio and play it to you. Then the Peace Council chairman said, if he said it, then I think he was wrong. Then he pushes him again. So does he owe an apology to the nation? And he says, well, as an ex-president, if he said that, then I believe that he owes the nation an apology without condemning the violence. That was our problem. If you had condemned the violence and then you commented on what the former president said, that would be acceptable. So in the circumstances, of course, I mean, for a chairman who had witnessed the violence, the guy whose leg was shot, the bone had shattered and the bone fragments were lying on the ground. Anybody who saw it would be traumatized. And so if a few days after he was talking and saying we should attack the Peace Council chairman, it didn't mean we should go and beat the Peace Council chairman. It meant that we should criticize him.
Mr. Mahama also admitted that indeed the leaked audio recording was from the camp of the NDC. However, he's insisting that the officers of the NDC were bagged, in contrast to what the Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah earlier said about the Akufo-Addo administration not having time for bagging officers of political opponents. NDC's Communications Director, Samuel Jamefi, earlier claimed that the office of the opposition party was bagged when he sought to blame the government for the leaked audio recording of Ofosuampofo, who is an elder of the Church of Pentecost. Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia last Friday joined Muslim congregation at the Abosokai Central Mosque in Accra to offer prayers and thanksgiving to Allah for his goodness to Ghana and its 62 years of independence. The Vice President urged Ghanaians to cherish the peace we enjoy and eschew any words or deeds that could negatively impact on the nation's harmonious forward march. The Vice President also indicated that President Akufo-Addo is building an inclusive society with the introduction of free SHS, Planting for Foods and Jobs, Nation Builders Corps, NABCO, so that every citizen, regardless of where they are coming from, will benefit from government's policies. In his sermon, the National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharabutu commended the government for its tremendous performance and pro-poor policies. Sheikh Sharabutu also asked all Muslims to pray for President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Bawumia and other government appointees to enable them serve the people of Ghana with dedication. Moving on, the Member of Parliament MP for North Tongu, Mr. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, is urging government to respond to claims from a CNN documentary alleging of child slavery taking place on Ghana's Lake Volta, with children being sold for as little as $250. In the shocking report, quoting an International Labour Organization report, it said that there were currently 20,000 children working for slave masters on the Volta Lake. Lake Volta is one of the largest man-made lakes in Africa, which sustains thousands of lives. Mr. Ablakwa, in a post on social media, appeared to be alarmed that government was allowing the documentary to run without a response. Acutely aware of Ghana's image, especially in this year of return, Mr. Ablakwa believes that it could have ramifications for Ghana's international image. He wrote on his Facebook wall, and I quote, "It's obvious government's entire focus this week has been on its grand diversionary." He wrote on his Facebook wall, and I quote, "It's obvious government's entire focus this week has been on its grand diversionary strategy, with that alleged leak tape following announced last revelations. However, government should now turn attention to this. It will be a fatal mistake not to closely assess the claims by CNN." However, he remained ambivalent on whether the numbers on child enslavement were accurate or not. Health service under the Akufo-Addo administration continues to remain a heartbeat of government, as the financial clearance of some 20,084 nurses and midwives for employment have been confirmed by the Ghana Health Service. Various healthcare facilities across the country are soon to receive these health professionals. The announcement was first made by the President at the recent State of the Nation address. Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, speaking at the performance review of the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate, expressed his joy on a positive development. He said, and I quote, "I am happy to say that this year alone, we have given financial clearance for 20,084 for NAC and the registered midwives. The registered nurses and midwives are for April, and that one, we will start working on it the second week of March, so they can start to work immediately on April 1st, unquote. Dr. Nsian also implored the nurses and midwives to exercise patience, since the employment process may take some time. The Ministry of Health also confirmed in a statement that it has received financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance to employ 14,254 nurse assistants, clinical and preventive, from government nursing training institutions, and the names have been verified by the Nursing and Midwifery Council. However, President of the Coalition of Allied Health Professionals, Bart Bell, in an interview said nurses who graduated in 2016 have still not been posted. Moving on, the Justice Emil Short Commission of Inquiry has embarked on a fact-finding mission at the crime scenes of the Ayawaso West Wagon constituency by-election gun shooting incident and related violence. Justice Short, chairperson, visited the constituency on Friday along with two other members of the commission, Professor Enrita Mensah-Bonsu, Patrick Echampon, to inspect and fully examine the scenes of the impugned event and environment surrounding the conduct of the bloody January 31st, 2019 by-election. The chairperson briefed journalists that the commission wanted to relay testimonies it had gathered from witnesses during the hearings at the Osu Castle to practical information at the scenes of the incident. A ballistic expert at the Forensic Science Laboratory of the Criminal Investigations Department (CID) of the Ghana Police Service, Michael Kujo, showed 19 bullet marks to the commissioners. The bullet marks were seen on 3 trees, metal containers, and walls in front of the Labalation residence of the National Democratic Congress NDC parliamentary candidate for the by-election, Delali Kwesi Brimpong. Mr. Brimpong's residence was the flashpoint of severe gun battle during the election, leaving 6 persons reportedly wounded. Detective Inspector Sule Jallo of East Legon Police Division briefed the commissioners about the incidents that took place during the election. And now moving on to some international news. On Friday, Koreans all over the world commemorated the 100th anniversary of the March 1st movement, a mass demonstration of Korean resistance against Japanese colonial rule. And on Saturday in Tema, Community 3, hundreds of Koreans came together to remember this pivotal day. The March 1st movement, also called Samil Independence Movement, marked a series of demonstrations for Korean national independence from Japan, which began on March 1st, 1919 in the Korean capital city of Seoul. The movement was led by 33 Korean cultural and religious leaders who drew a proclamation of independence and then moved to organize mass demonstrations. These protests across the peninsula was met with Japanese brutality. Thousands were killed, many homes and churches burnt, and approximately 46,000 people were arrested, of whom some 10,000 were tried and convicted. Many were also imprisoned without trial and tortured in So-dae-moon prison. Over the weekend, the new chairman of the Korean community in Tema, Han Dong-kwan, made an emotional speech to a crowd of approximately 240 people from the community. They held the national flag shouting "Manse," which means "Long live Korean independence." Also at the event was Dr. Lloyd Amwa, head of the Center of Asian Studies (CAS), who spoke about the similarities between Ghana and Korea. Finally, Korean ambassador to Ghana, Kim Song-soo, read Korean's President Moon Jae-in's speech on behalf of him, part of which says, and I quote, "The history of the past 100 years proves that we can achieve changes and innovation if we do not lose hope, no matter how difficult our present reality is." Happy independence to Korea.
The Bible say, yea, though she walked in the valley with the shadow of Little Red Riding Hood and the three bears, she feared no evil, because the three little pigs was not around.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
How you doing, baby? I'm okay. Well, you look bad.
We here because your dad is dead. Now I'm coordinating the funeral. I hope y'all can appreciate what I'm going to try to do.
And if you need anything, just let us know.
I know it's about funerals. I done buried a lot of men. A lot of them.
That funeral gonna be messed up.
And finally, in entertainment, for fans who love the character Mabel Madea Siemens, played by Tyler Perry, this may be the end of the road. Perry told CNN in a recent interview his reason for his farewell to the controversial character after 10, soon to be 11 successful films. The actor, who turns 50 this year, noted that he intends to do things differently in the next chapter of his life. Although it might be a goodbye to Madea, Tyler said she might be back.
Is this really the end?
Yes.
Why now?
I'll be 50 this year. The studio's open. I want to focus on that. I've got a 4-year-old. I want to spend some time there. So, yeah.
You know there's a lot of us fans that are upset about that.
You know, she'll be around on. You can go look at all the reruns and everything. Yeah, we're coming to Houston, by the way, with the finale of the tour. Yeah,
My question,
farewell tour. Yeah.
We're going to get that. At the very end, I have to hit you up for tickets.
Okay. And
so,
your mom. I want to meet your mom.
Oh, I'd love to take her to the show.
Yeah.
So, it's a funeral. How can that be funny?
Have you ever been to a black person's funeral?
Actually, I have.
You have. Okay, so you know that there are moments, as no matter how sad, there's always something that makes you go, now that is quite interesting. So you sit there trying not to laugh and be poised and gracious. And I've been to many of them going, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. So I decided to just make fun of it and put it all in the movie.
Madea, who Tyler said was created based on his mother and aunt, was debuted in the stage play I Can Do Bad All By Myself in 1919 and screen debuted in the 2005 film Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Aside Tyler Perry's 19 films that has fetched over $864 million at the North American box office, his production also boasts of sitcoms such as Tyler Perry's House of Pain and Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. He said, and I quote, "I need to load myself up in business to be busy. That's my drag. Load me up, let me work, work. That is my drag," unquote. However, a Madea family funeral hit theaters on March 1st. That does it for today's update, but do well to visit our website at dailyguidenetwork.com for more news, or follow us on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Daily Guide Network for stories in and around the world. While you're online, you can get interactive with me at Godwin Number on Facebook and Instagram. The update is brought to you by Diamond Cement, powered by Press Express and supported by Castle Clothing. The update returns tomorrow with me, Godwin Nambo. Until then, enjoy the rest of our programs.